Well, let me first start off. Anybody got any burning questions for me? And I just turned the chat line on. And I believe everyone can mute themselves. So anyone got something that you really need answered and on the sales side?
Good morning, Alex. I'm glad you feel a lot better, buddy. You sound much better than you did last night.
Yeah, I went on, I'll tell you what I did. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I take a daily Zyrtec in the morning and a histamine, and then it was so bad I took double dose of Benadryl when I went to bed. And I also did one of those Nuvage nose washes, and then I shot myself up with Flonase. So I was on my Zyrtec, Flonase, that steroid spray stuff. And so last night I think I was good. I was a little groggy this morning, but I'm about as dried out as you can get. So again, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it seemed to work anyway. What's going on?
You do sound better. I do have a question though. I believe I already know the answer to it, but I want to confirm it with you and the gang. I had a customer. He has his how should I say it? His check is deposited to his debit card. It's like a prepaid debit card, and he wanted me to write him up, but that was it. That was my concern. I didn't know if we would be able to do that. I know an automatic draft from a checking or savings. I know we can do that, but I was concerned about that, and I told him I'd get back to him because it's almost like one of those on a commercial, it's prepaid, and you can have your check deposited to it. He doesn't have a checking or savings account, and that's how he pay his bills. So is that something we can do, or carrier that have that function, or the answer is no to that?
Okay, well let's see how we can look it up.
Okay.
And look, if anyone in the peanut gallery knows the answer, I'm going to show you how you can find the answer.
Okay, that's even better.
But if someone knows it, you can chat it out. Okay, so this is alliancequoting.com. This is like the go-to webpage for all things related to underwriting. Okay, so what I would do is I go, and was this for final expense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's go to Product Pocket Guide. Then go to Simplified Issue High Risk Final Expense Whole Life section. Click on that, and then let's just go down the list. Okay, so at the bottom he says, this is Transamerica. At the bottom it should talk about what forms of payment. So Transamerica Solutions accepts Social Security, Direct Express, MasterCard, credit card only. Okay, and what that means is beyond just the automatic bank draft, because all the carriers will do automatic bank draft, but beyond the bank draft, this tells you it'll also do the Social Security, Direct Express, MasterCard, credit card only. And that is the Social Security card. And is that the debit card that this client is talking about, or is it a different one?
It's a totally different debit card.
Okay, so let's just go down the road here. CFG Classic Choice will not accept debit or credit cards, will accept money orders. Okay, let's go to Forrester's Plan Right. Does not accept debit or credit cards. Mutual of Omaha Living Promise accepts Meta Bank debit card / checking account as long as it's not 16 digits, it does not start with a 4 or 5. Also accepts Green Dot. You must call the 800 number on the back of the card to get the correct account and routing number. Cannot use the credit card number. So that's Mutual of Omaha. Okay, does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Meta Bank debit card / checking account, as long as it's not 16 digits and does not start with a 4 or 5. Also accepts Green Dot, which actually I'm surprised. Most of our carriers will not accept Green Dot, but also accepts Green Dot. You must call the 800 number to get the correct account and routing number.
So it's Mutual of Omaha living expense. Let me write that down.
Yeah, Living Promise.
Living promise. Okay.
Okay. So let's check
Yeah,
Great Western.
that works.
Okay, Great Western. This is the guaranteed issue product, accepts debit and credit cards, including Social Security Express card. So this is a guaranteed issue. So it's going to be more expensive. So if his health rating could accept better, then maybe you're looking at Mutual of Omaha. The Assurance Plus is guaranteed issue with 4 underwriting questions. Again, accepts debit and credit cards, including Social Security credit cards. So this Assurance might be, like if his health is decent, Assurance Plus might be an option for him.
Yeah, he's definitely a smoker. He's a smoker. He's 55 years old. He's a smoker.
Okay. So
in fact, tomorrow is birthday. His birthday is December 4th.
Okay.
And he'd be exactly 65.
Okay.
Okay.
Then AIG accepts credit cards, including Social Security Direct Express MasterCard. Again, this is a guaranteed issue, so it's going to be pretty expensive. So I don't know that I would recommend that product. CVS Health does not accept debit or credit cards. Sons of Norway does not accept debit or credit cards. American Amicable, American Guardian does not accept debit, credit, or prepaid cards. And then American Legacy does not accept debit, credit, or prepaid cards. So by sweeping through this product pocket guide for final expense whole life, we discovered that potentially Mutual of Omaha, depending on the type of account he has, and then Great Western Assurance Plus. Does that sound good?
So Great Western Assurance Plus.
Yeah, that's another option.
Okay. And Mutual of Omaha Living Promise.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw how you got there. So all right, I know exactly where to go. And the product pocket guide. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That helps a lot, Alex, because I wasn't really sure where to go. And the way I left it is that I'll just, I called a few carriers that I have and see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
I left it that way because I wasn't really sure. Okay.
Cool.
Perfect. Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah. So there's a ton of information, gang, on this simple at alliancequoting.com. So if you ever have any questions on underwriting, check here first. Check your final expense underwriting grid, mortgage term underwriting grid for health issues, and then product pocket guide for additional questions like the one you have. The information's at your fingertips, in other words.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You're welcome. Okay. Don't all pipe up at once. Anybody? Because I will fill the time. You know me. Okay, well, I'll just fill the time because I've got some stuff. So the Alliance conference calls, the webinars, like the TWC and the activity call, really works on your mindset and attitude, okay? That's why those are important to plug into, to get yourself thinking about how you view the world and how you view yourself, and one of the worst things that you can do, and I hear this from people all the time, is accepting your mediocrity. Like, nothing really drives me crazy when someone accepts their mediocrity. And I think it's a way for them to say it's okay to stay the way I am. It gives you an excuse not to grow and become better. It gives you the rationale that, I am who I am. I mean, if I can't blah, 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 the way that I am, then screw it. Screw the world, screw whatever. I'm just going to stay the way I am. And that, in essence, helps you, gets you to accept your own mediocrity, because you give life to it when you speak words about it. When you talk about how you are in a way that makes it okay for you to be that way, okay? Like, for example, I'll give you an example, and I even hate saying this, you know, but this is what I hear from other people. Well, I'm not the best father in the world. I am not the best father in the world. And inherent in that statement is an acceptance of how you are. Number one, it's very degrading to hear yourself say that about yourself. And the fact is, maybe your efforts as a father hasn't produced the best results. But to say that, to accept it as you are, is giving up the fight to become better. Rather than say, I'm not the best father in the world, say, I am trying to be a better father. I'm always working at becoming a better father. It's like St. Paul in the Bible, who talks about, I'm working out my salvation with fear and trembling. It's like my Protestant brothers, well, he even saw Jesus. Well, he didn't actually see him. He encountered Jesus. Okay, he encountered Jesus. But why would Paul say he's working out his salvation with fear and trembling? Why would someone who had an encounter with Jesus Christ, totally changed his life and changed, why would he be working out his salvation with fear and trembling? Right? Well, because he doesn't assume that he's made it. He's working it out. He's getting better. Right? And he doesn't accept, well, I'm just a sinner and I can't do anything better. No, man. So that's why the idea of plugging into the Alliance calls is a way to figure out how to get better and better and better. And when you don't avail yourself of those opportunities, then you really shut down your growth potential. It's like a flower that needs watering, you know, fertilizing and watering. You don't give yourself a chance to get fertilized and watered, okay, and get some sun so you can grow. My webinars, sometimes they try to do the head job, but I'm trying to get some of the nuts and bolts down, because someone's got to teach the nuts and bolts to you. You know what I'm saying? So that is, to me, the real essence of what we're talking about. Dave is not available to go over his telesales scripts, Lauren. So I think he pretty much explains it on his webinar, what he does. You know, here's the other thing too. Let me talk about that specifically. You know, Dave Gomer's telesales scripts. So I let a couple agents talk to Dave personally, and I don't let that happen too much, because it's not Dave's job to spend half an hour with you on his telesales script, because he doesn't earn an override on you. He doesn't earn any money on you, and he's taking a half hour away from his business, so he's losing money to talk to you. So I'm reluctant, you know, so the people that talk to him were like desperate, okay? So you would think, Lauren, that having a half hour talking to Dave about his telesales script would help him. You would think. But they quit. They quit. They're no longer with us. So all I can think of is maybe when they talked to Dave, they didn't implement what he was doing. They didn't do it exactly the way he was saying it. They didn't do it with the right attitude and mindset. They didn't have his personality. I have no earthly idea. But they quit. Q-U-I-T. And it's funny when people like, well, I'm doing exactly what they're doing. It's like, seriously, you are not. Because if you're doing exactly what they're doing, you'd have results. It's like, man, I'm like going, geez, what's up with that? So you're not doing it like he's doing, and here's what I used to do. I used to break everything down. Back in the day when I studied people, we used to do cassette tapes. And when I would break down a cassette tape, number one, the best way to break down a script, someone else's script, is to listen to it and write it down. People want, see, that's kind of the way I've hurt people is I've sent out, in fact, I do have a transcript of Dave teaching what he does. So you could read the transcript. The problem with the transcript is you don't have the opportunity to listen and write it down. The best way to learn a script is to listen sentence by sentence and writing it down to create your own script. You transcribing it, because by you listening to it and transcribing it like sentence by sentence, you start locking it in your head. And then another thing to you by listening it over and over is you hear how he says what he says. I used to do that with phone scripts all the time. I'd break it down, I'd write it down, I'd listen to how they do it, and then I would practice to, do I sound like them? And so I'd record myself in the MP3, and then I play them and I play me. And it's like, golly, I don't sound like that. I don't have that sense of nurturing or that real laid back attitude. I sound nervous and scared, right? Okay. I would work my behind off by breaking it down sentence by sentence, writing it down sentence by sentence, then recording myself to sound like that person. I would spend hours doing this. I would spend a lot of work trying to duplicate someone. Okay, and that's why on that video, part of it is listening to what he's thinking. What is he thinking about when he's doing what he's doing? What is his objective? What is his ultimate objective? And when you can listen to it over and over and over again, the thing about it is, the first time you listen to it, you're only going to capture 20% of what's really inside of his teaching, only 20%. You got to listen to it 7 to 9 times to get 80%, right? And then when you implement that teaching after you've broken it down, then you listen back again because you've implemented it, you're getting success, you're getting failures, then you listen to it again, and you're going to start extracting the other 20%, which is the 20% that makes all the difference in the world. But gee, Alex, it sounds like work. Oh my gosh. Yes, it is. It is a lot of work. But you got to decide whether or not that work is worth it to get better and better. It's called duplication, but it's called the ultimate in duplication when you examine and study how they do what they do and how they say what they're saying, how they say what they say. And when you start saying stuff like, well, I just really want to do it in my style, and it's like, yes, I know that. I know that you're trying to do it, but has your style worked or has your style sucked? You know what I'm saying? Like, try to put on that way that they do stuff. And then there'll be room later to conform it to how you do it, but you got to start getting results first. So you got to assume that you don't know nothing, and then you try to duplicate someone else, okay? And certainly there's little areas that you can compromise, but I would say, man, why let a compromise potentially ruin an opportunity to get results? Does that make sense at all, what I'm saying? Like, truly, you are probably not duplicating 20% of what he's really doing because you haven't done the work yet. You have to earn it. Like, anybody do martial arts? Anybody do martial arts here at all? Anybody? Okay. In martial arts, you learn what's called a kata. And kata is a routine that you learn where you start from, your position, and then you take on your stance. And then you go through, the movements. Why do they do that? Why do you got to duplicate exactly how it's, and then punches, got to turn your wrist. Why does the sensei examine your kata and they adjust your arm? And it's like, no, you got to snap it. Why do they do that? Because they're trying.
Muscle memory.
Yes, they're trying to incorporate it in your muscle memory, but they're trying to get the technique correct. Correct. And when you see really, really good, brown belts, black belts, when they're in the upper belt level, their katas are perfect. And what you'll notice about them is their personality comes through the kata, but the actual movements are almost exactly, within 5%, snap, snap, snaps, perfect. But what's interesting in a kata is how they do it, their personality comes out in it. Really interesting to watch. That's why the sales business is very much the same thing. When you're trying to duplicate someone on a recording, you're just listening, oh, that sounds good, blah, blah, blah. And then you move on and continue to do what you're doing, which is not working. Okay? Man, I would break down everything. When I was in the Amway business, I broke down tapes because I wanted to learn how to talk and motivate people. Because I knew one day I'd be in front of stage of 10,000 people and that I was going to have to talk like these top diamonds and emeralds. And so I'd listen to the tape, I'd break it down. I was a big fan of Greg Duncan and Brad Duncan. So I'd write down how they said what they said, and I tried to duplicate it in my voice to elicit the same response that they were getting, okay? It's all NLP. NLP has a way of you modeling successful behavior, but that's really kind of how you do it. And I spent hours doing it because I knew I'd be on stage. And sure enough, I'd be on stage addressing 10,000 people in a coliseum, Thompson Bowling Arena down in, it was like our Ruby Talk. Although I think our Ruby Talk was actually in Virginia. Yeah, I was in Virginia when we were recognized as Rubies. 10,000 people in a coliseum. We fired them up, baby. The only reason why we fired it up is because we studied all the tapes and we broke it down and got to the next level and to the next level. Like, how many of y'all do Bible studies, right? There's a surface meaning in a Bible study, then there's a contextual, the context of that scripture. And you got to understand the context to understand the words that were used. Well, Alex, the inspired word of God should just speak to me. It's like, dude, come on, man. Don't be stupid. There's a context when the words are written. When you peel the layer of meaning underneath the context of the scripture, you start getting to the deeper part, the part that God wanted you to get to. That's why you have Bible study. You don't just study the words, you study the etymology of the word from, English to Greek to Aramaic or to whatever. Well, actually it goes Latin, because Latin seemed to be the bridge. Greek, which is the other bridge. So you got to trace the words, and the meaning of the word in the original text is so full of insight, right? And breaking it down is the only way that I think you can just start peeling away why people do what they do, how they do it, so you can duplicate that. So I hope I'm making sense. I'm trying to appeal to you working to get better, working to listen. You guys have that, right? You can go on my website and look up the Dave Henry. It's on my post bootcamp website, and breaking down how he's doing what he's doing. He broke it down in OWN, OWN, I think that's it. But he made a really sexy mnemonic. Okay, and so what he did there is he told you what he's trying to accomplish in each of those three phases of the phone call, right? He's telling you exactly what he's trying to accomplish. So number one, that's one of the most important things. What is he trying to accomplish in each of those phases? Then he verbalizes what he says to them to accomplish that. And then he talks about, in general, how he tries to do it. And then he actually, so in neurolinguistic programming, when it comes to modeling successful behavior, you got to mimic what they do, but you got to mimic how they're thinking. And he gives you his thought process under each phase. Because if you can get to each objective, just like in the Sandler sales system, when you get to that objective, then you can fully realize the power of that system, right? And so I'm imploring you, and I love your question, Lauren. I love your question, that you got to peel it, and you have to work. You know, you have to work at this to get better. It takes work, man. This is your profession. What profession where it doesn't take practice? When you look at professional athletes, you know, they still practice. They still shoot their free throws. They still do the work behind it. They may not practice hard at a certain point, but they still got to go through the motions and get their skill set correct. Because any deviation of how they were doing it before can mean the difference of nailing the target and not nailing the target. And when you don't nail the target, then you're going to lose. Like Tom Brady. How many of you seen Tom Brady's performance? It sucks. He sucks now. You can attribute it to all kinds of reasons. Why? I don't know. He's getting older, but I don't think getting older is the key, in my opinion. I think there's something in his practice regimen, and it could be his timing with his receivers. I don't think that he's got that synchronization down that he had when he was in New England. Even with Gronk, his tight end, he's starting to get that a little bit, but seriously, there's something he is not doing that he was doing before. And I don't chalk it up just to age. You know, now you may hate him. I hated him when he was with New England, but then when he got from New England, I was hoping he'd do well. Okay, so let me see. I haven't checked. Making the call, overcoming rejections. Supreme is a black belt in Taekwondo. Yeah, Taekwondo. Taekwondo is an interesting martial art because it is very, very, you know, the International Taekwondo Federation, they control that martial art around the world. There are tournaments. When you start as a kid, I love watching the kids do Taekwondo because they wear those vests and they got all those target colors, and you got to hit the targets to score. It's really cool. It's a really, you know, you're not trying to kill the other person. You're trying to hit, I guess, that target, right, Daleen? I haven't watched a lot of tournaments, but it's really cool. They got their headgear on, and then they just go at each other. But it's very, very, very disciplined in what they do. I remember when I was in a Kung Fu form, and in the Kung Fu form, not only they teach us the discipline of the movement, right, and the technique, they taught us the history of the art form and where it traced back to and what the philosophy was when they were building this fighting technique. Because it's not just technique, it's a mindset and attitude, isn't it? Right? It's a mindset and attitude. It's a very good analogy to sales. It's a mindset and attitude. It's having that calmness and earning that sense of confidence by working. Man, when you are spending hours on getting your kata correct, knowing that you got a test for your next belt, man, when I did that, I did everything I could to work on getting it right, because I knew they're going to watch, you know, and then they tested us on the knowledge. So there was like quizzes that they would give us on the stuff they taught us about the history of the art, you know. So I don't know, we're not going to do that here, but you know what I mean? It's all mindset, attitude. All right, so I hope I made a point, Lauren. Does that make sense?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yes, it makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think Love and Tovers are having a boot camp on the 12th or 13th. Bruce, do you know? In Louisville. They're
It's on
doing
the
one
9th.
in, I'm
9th.
sorry?
the 9th.
The 9th is
Next.
going to be in Lakeland,
Where at?
Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah, that's Lakeland's sitting on the 9th.
Yeah, but they're planning on doing another one in Louisville. I don't know if they've locked it down yet, but
Okay, I don't know. That's what I was asking last week. I've not heard.
I was texting with Mike. Okay, tentatively, it's planned in Louisville on December 14th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. 3
Okay.
p.m. to 9 p.m.
All
Here's, I
right.
think, the key question that people don't ask, that do not ask Megan Wood. They're always asking her, what do you say? How do you line up your clients? What do you say? But they're not asking, what are you thinking? What's going on in your mind when you're writing up a client? Are you thinking about writing up the client, or are you thinking about the next sale? What are you thinking about when you're doing XYZ? It's as important with how she's doing it, with what she's thinking about how she's doing it. Because you can't just mimic the physicality of it, although that's important. You got to mimic the thought process while doing the physicality of it. Again, it goes back to neuro-linguistic programming. It's the way they learned how to model successful behavior, okay? So should you make it, see, that's why when you watch a boot camp on a Zoom call, you don't have that opportunity to ask those questions, really. But when she's going through her thing, hey, can I ask a question, Megan? When you are booking that second appointment, what are you thinking about? What's in your mind? And she'll tell you, well, last time I talked to him, so you trace it back to last time. Okay, so when you talked to him last time, what made you think, or were you thinking when you were asking your questions? What was the key question that made you think that hospital indemnity would be a good product for them, or that cancer or heart attack stroke policy? What were you thinking when you were going through asking them their health questions? No one's asked her those questions. It's like, what are you thinking about? How are you thinking when you're sitting down with a client? What is your thought process as you're taking them through the fact-finding questions on them? No one's asked her that. And that is probably more important than, well, tell me how you do your script. Tell me how you do this. Tell me how you do that, right? Here's one thing I've learned in this business, in any business, is that convenience and success don't go together. You can't be successful on convenience. You can't build your business on convenience. You cannot be successful on trying to be convenient. You got to go out of your way. You got to pay a price, man. If you're not willing to pay the full price, it's just like when you go to a Coke machine and it says to get this Coke, you got to put $2 in. I know they rape you on the prices. If you put $1.95, are you going to get that Coke? No. If you put in one more penny, which they don't take pennies, $1.96, are you going to get the Coke? $1.97, you still going to get the Coke, or you going to get partial Coke? $1.98, are you going to get anything? $1.99, one more penny, 1 penny less, are you going to get the Coke? No, you got to pay the full $2. You put the $2 in, you get your Coke. Here's one for you. You put $3 in, you get your Coke, plus you get change back. When you go the extra mile, you get the extra, right? Cannot build success on convenience. It's gotta be a pain in your butt. Okay, pain in the butt. It's like when I put in the, it's so funny because if you guys don't have questions, I'm gonna ramble, okay? But that call that I did last night, the how-to call, that did not exist 3 weeks ago. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to add another call to my time schedule to serve you more. And I'm going to do it out of inconvenience. I'm going to throw in another one and another one. How can I help you more? How can I get more people to come on so they can get their minds right on this and get their techniques right and show them how to do stuff. How can I influence them more? The only way I know to do it is have another opportunity for you to listen to me, to make you think about stuff. And it's not all about me. It's other people that get involved. Like I'm, you know, whether you know it or not, please, let's participate together. We can all learn from each other, right? And so that was not convenient. I'm thinking about other things to do, like serving our part-timers that work during the daytime. I'm thinking about doing a second. I think I've scrapped the idea of putting everyone all on one call. So for our part-timers, I'm thinking about doing an evening, duplicating every single call we're doing the daytime for the evening, right? I'm going, man, that's a lot of time. But like I said, man, you can't build this business on convenience. Like the worst thing I can think about is, well, that's not convenient for me. How can I make it easier on me? It's like, do you know how much money I've spent? I have invested every penny the last 2 months in generating a lead program, new lead program. Like I'm running thin. Like I am like on the edge thin, and reinvesting in the business, reinvesting in some of y'all. Okay, I am like spending every dime. So there's not a lot of room for mistakes on my part. But I gotta believe that something's gonna come of that financial investment. But I can't just do financial investment, I gotta invest my time more, right? So I'm taking calls at midnight, 11 p.m. with some agents that need to talk. You know, I'm trying to go the extra mile, okay? So I'm not telling you that I'm great. I'm telling you, what are you doing to go the extra mile for your families? You know, Think and Grow Rich, I never can find a copy of Think and Grow Rich at all. And I was surprised to hear someone who's never read it on the conference call on the TWC yesterday, Joseph too. When Andy asked him, Think and Grow Rich, have you read it? And he said, no. I'm going, oh my gosh.
I'm reading it now, Alex.
Well, good, man. We should
Yeah.
all read it again. Some
Yeah.
people like going, how can you be successful without reading that book? That should be everyone's foundational book and principles on success, mindset, and attitude. And it's like, oh my gosh. You know, and I need to read that book again, okay? Again, going the extra mile, not trying to be convenient, but going the extra mile, it makes a difference in your attitude and mindset, right? Here is this book, Asking Questions. Like how many of y'all even bought the book? I've been pounding everybody on getting this book, but I know not everyone has really bought it. I don't know if you can afford like $16, because that's what I saw last time. In fact, I don't know if I told you guys this. I have a guy in Australia, a sales guy in Australia. He sent me a nice message on LinkedIn. He goes, bro, your video on Bonner Rapport just totally changed my business. And he goes, it helped me so much that I want to send you a gift. What's your address? I'm going, and this is financial planner guy that's in Australia. I go, bro, that's really cool. I'm very kind of you to say. And then I said, I gave him my address, my office address, and he was happy to send this thing to me. I said, dude, you need to get this book because he's into Sandler. He's got a Sandler coach, a former Sandler coach coaching him. That's why all this submarine stuff he's all down with. And he's been watching my videos, which is crazy. And so I told him, you've got to get this book. This book will change your mindset and give you all the guides you need on asking questions. And so he tried to order it. He messaged me back and said, they won't send it to Australia. I said, all right, man, give me your address and I'm going to send you a copy. So I bought a copy. It's coming in. As soon as I get it, I'm going to send it. I'm going to mail it to him, to Australia. Right? Okay, to me, I'm going, wow, this guy rocks. This guy totally rocks. Australia. Like, he's getting the benefit and he's learning. And why can't I help him too? But Alex, you don't make an override on him. I don't make a physical override, but my override's in heaven. I make a heavenly override. on serving people. It's kind of a pain in the butt, okay? But I'm gratified that he said such kind things. And I hope that I can help him kick butt in Australia. So maybe I have some place to stay when I go down under and stuff. But you see, when someone's going the extra mile, when they're like paying the price, they're out of inconvenience. They are making it happen. I'm like, man, how can I help this person more? Because they're going out of their way. They're willing to travel to go to experience something. Like they're going out of their way to go to Florida, to Florida's Lakeland. I've got people plugging into that from different parts of Florida. You know, not convenient, but you know what? Effective. They're going to get around the people there. Man, that totally rocks. I'm fired up about that. And then that makes me think differently about them, right? When I see someone going the extra mile, making an effort, you know, I'm thinking that's someone I can invest my money in, right? Versus other people that I don't see making an effort. And it's like, man, I wish I can get them some free A leads. But God, I just don't see them down on the phone. Why would I give them resources, my personal resources, when they're not really doing much, when I've got people over here that are pounding it, suffering, learning, coaching with me? Why would I not help these people, you know, the sheep from the goats over here that are not doing anything, right? That's how this world works, man. So I've been rambling. Any more questions? Does anyone have any more questions? I know Todd just wrote, Todd Stefanoff, he's working full-time in the Air Force, wrote another policy on Slack. I saw him post that on Slack the other day. And I'm like fired up for him. Just submitted a Mood Living Promise, $540.48 a month. He bam-fam for tomorrow evening to cover the daughter and husband. Is that cool? And this is off one of those search leads, those social media leads that I'm doing. I mean, he's more than made his money back. I think he's probably quadrupled his money investment in those leads. Quadrupled, totally quadrupled, because he's got the additional sales after the sale. I mean, I'm just so fired up. I think he spent $240, and now he's done, you know, maybe a couple thousand already plus. So he's quadrupled, more than quadrupled, and he's got more to do tonight. So I'm really gratified by that. I have a question regarding how to contact Mutual of Omaha. Yeah, so Mutual of Omaha, that's a good question. What number do I have for Mutual of Omaha? Let me see. If you go to the ARC website, they also show a phone number you can call in each carrier page. I don't know how good a number it is, but I would start there. So let's see what that number is on the ARC. Carriers, ARC. Oh, that's AIG. Hold on. Carriers, Mutual of Omaha. Okay, so if you go to the ARC, see if it's the same number. It's probably the general number. So 1-800-693-6083. Oh yeah. Well, 6088. 6083. You know, if you call this number, you'll get to somebody who can direct you where you need to go. You know, all the carriers have these numbers. If you go to Columbia Financial Group, 1-855-895-3584. 6088 is wrong. 6083. Okay, yeah. So I would start here first. Okay. And, oh, Todd. Okay, I was talking last night, someone was asking about the group product for American Amicable. You got to go Occidental American Amicable. And it was the OBA. Like, remind me, I forgot what that stands for. OBA term. Todd, what does that stand for? Chat it at me again. OBA. You're like the only one who knows what that stands for. It doesn't even say anywhere on the American Amicable product training. OPA. It's something like, it's a group policy for like first responders and medical personnel. And anyway, OBA. Let me see if I can look it up. OBA.
I'm sorry, I kept trying to unmute this. That's Officers Benefit Association.
Officers, what? Officer, what's the B stand
Officers
for?
Benefit.
Benefit Association.
Benefit.
Okay, Officers Benefit Association. That was driving me nuts. I didn't understand it. Of course, it does cover people of that profession, but a bunch of other professions as well. But anyway. Oh, Krista has really helped out in helping me put together the, getting the commission grid together on our basic product lines. So I'll get that out to everybody when it's done. So you can generally know what your commissions are and everything. Okay. So let's see, what else? Anyone got any other questions? How many of y'all are now going to buy this book? There's another one, like since we're on the subject of books, there's another one on, it's a Sandler book, and it's called, I think it's Call Center, on call centers. And the reason why that book is really good, it's like how to run a call center, but it also has the Sandler techniques on selling via call center. Call Center Success. Okay, the book is called Call Center Success. I've taught out of this book. Like one of my videos on telesale bond report comes out of this book. It's called Call Center Success, $16, $0 if it's on a Kindle. Call Center Success the Sandler way. And the reason why this book really is good, because it goes, it's not so much you setting up a call center, but if you're going to be committed to doing telesales, then the bond report techniques using your voice is really covered super well. And I've lost that book. I cannot find it anywhere. And I don't know what I did with it because I can't find it anywhere. And it's driving me crazy, like super crazy. So that's another one I would highly recommend if you're committed to doing telesales, Call Center Success the Sandler way. And then there's one more that totally mimics Sandler, but it's different. It's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And he uses all kinds of Sandler techniques, whether he knows it or not. So here's a summary book. This is kind of the, I guess this is the quick and dirty. I don't know what the difference is. But Never Split the Difference. This book rocks. He talks some great Sandler style techniques without being Sandler. It's really cool. Boy, there's another summary. So I'd be all about the summaries because that will get you the information quicker. But get the full book. So those are 3 books I think are foundational books that will help you really get your mind right. And the book reading is such an important thing to do as part of your personal development. Book reading, because you're actively doing something physical. It's making you think, but you're reading it, and it's this turning the pages. I'm not as big a fan of like the Kindle. I'm a big fan of Audible. So if it's on Audible, you should get that too. in addition to the book. There's something about marking down and highlighting and putting notes. There's that physicality of doing that that involves different senses. And when you can learn something using multi of your senses, the better you're going to learn it, right? So not just listening to it, but listening and taking notes. Again, it's an active mode. Reading, again, another active mode of learning. And that just captures all your senses and will totally help you get better at this thing, all right? So those are the 3 books. Asking Questions the Sandler Way, Call Center Success. Is it called The Sandler Way? The Sandler Way. And then Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Great, 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 great book. Anyway, so those are what? That's about, you know, $60 worth of books. $60, man, to get your mind right. I think that is well worth the price of admission, and then implementing it as you learn it, right? I was going to go over the chapter on reverses, but maybe we can go through it another time. But anyway, thanks for plugging in. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you've got something from this. And please don't mistake my passion with being a jerk or trying to, be hard on you. Really, I just want you to get so much better. I want you to do the stuff that I did to get better, because it helped me out quite a bit. But I'm asking you to work at your craft, man. But don't work during prime time. The work during prime time is picking up the phone. When you can be dialing, dial, hit it hard, be relentless. You're going to learn every time you engage with someone. Okay, so every failure is an opportunity to learn. So don't equate failure with failure, okay? Equate failure with success, because failure is a part of being successful. Does that make sense? So like, change your mindset. Instead of going, man, I didn't do well on that last call, think about, what can I learn from that last call? What can I learn from this next challenge? What can I learn? Okay. And then again, I go back to, do not accept language that accepts your mediocrity. When you say stuff like, that's how I am, it's like, golly, please don't ever tell me that. Don't tell me that, because then you've accepted staying where you are, and I can't help you if you're not going to start making an effort. You start making an effort, I can help you, but you just, you ever heard you can't steer a parked car? Well, by accepting your mediocrity, you're not moving, and I can't help you. Okay, you got to get moving, man, in a positive direction. All right, gang. So God bless you, man. I'm here for you. Give me a call when you need help. Take care, and I hope this made sense. Okay, God bless everybody.